Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is another episode of Prepared Monday, and as you can see here from this title, which this was published on June 8th, just a few days ago, Oregonians are having to use the ballot initiative methodology to stop taxation from being slapped onto our groceries. Now, here's what's really funny. I hear a lot out of the leftists and the progressives and the extremist Marxists and such that corporations are killing our society. Yet, it's the government that's trying to slap sales taxes on groceries in Oregon. And they're trying to do that on top of already holding a 5 to 7% statewide income tax and some of the highest property taxes in the nation. I mean, a $180,000 home anywhere in Oregon is going to run you between $1,000 and $6,000 in property taxes, and that's without any land. That's just having a $180,000 home. The closer to the urban areas you get, the higher that tax rate gets. And I speak from experience because I do own a house in Tigard, which is outside of Portland. People who own the same size house as mine inside Portland at the same value are paying almost $16,000 a year in property taxes. And I own a very modest 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. I don't own some sort of weird mansion. I also live on a plot that barely has enough room for my dog to run around on. Now, if we look here, more than $2 million from major grocery and small grocery stores alike have already been pushing this ballot initiative. And the whole concept is that this entire concept of taxing groceries would actually damage the state. Now, this talks about how organized labor and business groups fight over how Oregon should be taxed. But it's not organized labor that's fighting. It is the public sector unions. It is the teacher unions. It is the government unions. It's not so much the police and fire department unions, oddly enough, which I really am glad to hear that. It's mostly the public workers unions. And it's quite a bit from the Democrat Party as well, which is the majority of the government in Oregon. So this really boils down to government versus citizen argument, not organized labor versus business. Because, see, Teamsters and longshoremen and IT workers and taxi cab drivers are all going to be affected by this tax. People on welfare and food stamps and everything else are all going to be affected by this tax. And this tax is expected to take center stage in the Oregon legislature next year when they're in their full-length session, because Oregon does a biennium session set. So this is part of the reason that I am being driven out of Oregon. And it's part of the reason I wanted to bring this up today is to show that good preparation can stop bad actions. I am supporting this ballot initiative, which would stop grocery store taxes and sales taxes on food. And I think anyone in the state of Oregon should be supporting this. This ballot initiative will actually keep costs in Oregon reduced, will help constrain the growth of government, and will help Oregonians survive longer. But as things stand right now, it seems that this is probably going to go into effect because people in Oregon seem to vote in new taxes, even though they don't realize the taxes are what's killing them. And it's not all of Oregon, it's just enough of Oregon that it ends up happening anyway. It's the same reason our legislature is primarily Democrat and not equally represented. It's the same reason we keep electing Democrats to most major state offices and national offices, is because it's being controlled by a handful of counties that are heavily populated. And that's not the way to run a state. So, you should keep your eyes out for this kind of stuff happening in your state as well. And you should also go ahead and start pushing forward against this kind of stuff in your own state, no matter if it's being brought forward or not, to help restrict and stop government growth and expansion before it ever gets started. Well, I want to thank you all very, very much for joining me on this Prepared Monday. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, or come over to BitChute and thumbs up and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out my other social media sites down below. I'm including a link to this news article from Oregon Public Broadcasting in the description down below so that you can view it at your leisure. Go through and read it for yourself. Because Oregon does have an initiative petition system in our Constitution for the state. A lot of things in the state get resolved by petition, because a lot of times the legislature won't actually do what we're asking them to do. And that's an indication of a dysfunctional state government, but we can't seem to get that fixed because too many people keep voting in the same liberal progressives who won't do what the public wants. Well, thank you all again, and have yourselves a beautiful Prepared Monday.